Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back. It is me, Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarriorStudios, and you are watching Security Happy Hour. With me, as always, I have my partner in crime, the one, the only, the founder of Raices, Eric Bilardo, right next to me, right over here.
Hey, how is everybody doing tonight?
I hope they're doing great. It's a Friday night. With me today, I have an amazing guest. We're going to talk about physical pen testing and social engineering. And honestly, I met her on Twitter through another contact of mine, Scorpion. So it's good to have her here. Cori, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell people how you kind of got into the pen testing side of things and why talking about social engineering and physical pen testing was something you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah. Hey, so I'm an information security consultant. I just do business-to-business pen testing, offensive security engagements, which includes like normal pen tests, and then of course social engineering, so phishing, and then physical pen test as well. I just really love social engineering. I love physical pen testing. It's really the only way I was able to get into offensive security, so it's something I'm super passionate about and I love to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So about how long have you been doing it now?
So social engineering as a whole, I've been doing around a year.
Oh, okay.
Professionally.
So what is it about social engineering and really, you know, what did you find was the most intriguing part about it? And kind of what are some of the methods you're using right now to really take advantage of society, let's say?
What got me intrigued in social engineering? I've always been into like computers as a whole, technology as a whole. My dad was an old Pearl monk, so I was really like raised in the world of technology in his footsteps. And then just getting more into like the security culture and discovering social engineering, I think probably my first like understanding of it was through people like Rachel Toback and Chris Hadnagy, Chris Kirsch, people that are out there making social engineering content, competing in the social engineering capture the flag. So that got me super interested in it. And some techniques that I use, that's like a really in-depth question because there is a variety of social engineering engagements when you're doing it professionally, because every organization has a different goal in mind, right? It can be either to get credit card information or PHI or reset user accounts, test like internal IT. So there's a lot of different methods depending on what the ultimate goal is.
So what's your favorite part then, shall I say? What do you like doing the most when it comes to social engineering?
I like talking to people, and I like reading people. I think the ability to read situations and people kind of like play by play in the moment is one of the most important things in social engineering. And that really comes with just like an innate understanding of people. I don't think that's something that you can really teach someone very well.
Right. And it is, because if you really think about it, when you're trying to look into getting into somewhere, whether that be via email or shoulder surfing or, just asking someone for their information, you really have to know the person. So that's where a lot of OSINT comes in. So in your time in doing social engineering, do you spend a lot of time perusing Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn with a bunch of sock puppet accounts?
Yes, exactly. That is honestly the majority of the job, is just identifying and accessing publicly available information on people, on companies, on people's children, on people's significant others. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, because I've seen people who don't do a lot of social engineering engagements attempt to do a social engineering engagement, and they haven't collected enough information, whether they just want to get finished with the assessment, or I don't know what their reasoning is, but I've seen people go into an engagement not doing enough homework and then, failing within seconds because what were you expecting? I know I create like an extensive list of, the person I'm targeting. I'm almost always targeting a person, whether I'm pretending to be a person to recover an account or I'm pretending to be a person to get their PHI. There's always someone that I'm identifying that I'm really, posing as. So I do a lot of homework surrounding them beforehand.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. So when I've done, because I've done a lot of like OSINT gathering just to when pen testing companies and seeing what's out there on people, any password leaks, things of that nature. And even in OSINT itself, and when you're looking at company information, it can be such data overload, right? You've got so much data that comes in, and it is very time consuming to do it yourself, meaning you're not using scrapers or tools. You're literally going link to link, site to site to pull all the information you can. But I find that doing it that way, it is more I'm not going to say honest, it's actually more valid, right? You can find more valid information doing it that way. Whereas as much as I love a lot of the OSINT tools out there, like I don't know if you've ever heard of the Discover scripts that utilize like Recon NG and the Harvester and all that other stuff.
Of course.
You get a lot of false information just because employees have left the company, or there's people that'll say they work for a company that don't really work for a company. So if you're not manually going through and checking this information, it can really set you back, because now you have all this data and probably 40% of it doesn't even matter because it has nothing to do with the company anymore. So do you prefer to use the automated tools, or do you do a lot of like just manipulation and just looking at it yourself and really investigating people and companies without using tools?
So I use a combination of both, really. It depends on the engagement as well. So like if I'm compiling a phishing campaign, then to find employees, I'll probably use a tool to like scrape LinkedIn for like employees from this company, but then also people that work in HR because they're a little more susceptible and easy to work with. So I do use some automated tools for situations like that. And then for background checks, which are usually pretty reliable. Intellius is my favorite tool for background reports.
Yeah.
It's a little expensive. It's like 30 something dollars a month, but it's perfect. But then outside of that, a lot of manual testing, a lot of like manually identifying people. And then of course, like just going to office.com and typing in a potential email for them and, seeing what the login banner says.
Yeah, I find you can find out a lot about a person just by seeing if they have their Facebook account public, because a lot of people don't realize that if they even post one thing public and now everything they say, oh, share now, everything you've hit share now to since you switched that one post to public is now public again. You have to actually switch it back to friends only or private or whatever for it to switch back for you. So having that capability and really being able to go out there and see, okay, so they're married or they have kids or they have pets. So now I can figure out passwords based on when they got married, when their birthday is, when their kids' birthdays are, because you can see that they're going to post every year, oh, happy birthday to my kid, or it's my kid's birthday or whatever. Yeah. So there's so much information that's out there. And with social engineering itself, I think Facebook has been, as much as I hate Facebook, it is our best friend. It truly is our best friend.
It really is. Yeah. I know personally, like if I am brought in on an engagement where the company wants to see whether PHI can be gotten from anyone, whether it's a medical office or a hospital, the first thing I'm going to do is pull up that location's Facebook page and see who's left a review, because I know that they exist within the patient history. So yeah, it's just small things like that people wouldn't typically consider, like leaving a review on a page, can make you a target.
Do you use a lot of job descriptions if you're breaking into a company? Like if you're trying to social engineer, maybe a sysadmin or an IT staff or something like that. Do you use a lot of the job descriptions? Because when you use those, now you know what hardware and software they're using 9 times out of 10. So if you know that, you can pose as, oh, I'm going to send you an email as a marketer from Cisco, or from, I'm from, I don't know, Palo Alto or Microsoft, or, hey, I see they use Linux because they need a Red Hat admin. Guess what? I'm going to come in as someone that, hey, I work with Red Hat. Do you do a lot of that? Have you done that before? Or do you usually avoid the job descriptions and just go for more personal information?
If I had an opportunity where I thought a job description would help, like in terms of recognizing tooling, I definitely would. But I would say also, like in the pen test world, as I'm sure you're familiar, a lot of these assessments are kind of done, in tandem. So maybe
Right.
an internal and an external will be chained, and then, a social engineering engagement of whatever sort will be done in tandem with that. So typically, there is some understanding of what's going on just because of those relationships. So if I wanted to send a fish, like, download this Defender ATP update, I may already have that. I would typically already have the knowledge of that basic tooling.
Right.
But I'm sure a real attacker would leverage that.
Right. And so when you're doing these, I think a lot of it comes down to, just recognizing people. Like you said, you like to read people. And I think that's been one of the things that I love about cybersecurity is you get to find out who people really are, because you don't have to, when you go out in public, people put on a persona of what they want you to see. But on the internet, a lot of times they think they're anonymous or they're hiding their information. So you get to really see who they are.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, concept, because I'm a people watcher. I love going to, like, back when I was younger, and when I was in the Army and stuff, going to airports, I loved traveling because I'd sit there and just watch the people, see what they're doing, see who they're talking to. And you really do, you get to know somebody just by watching them or how they interact. And it really helps. But do you find it to be more problematic trying to get to know people on the internet? Like, as far as, because you do this for a living, really trying to connect with others and try to separate it from your work?
That's a great question. I definitely do not dig into people. I don't do OSINT on normal people. That's just not the kind of person I am. Obviously, I have to do it for work a lot. And I would be lying if I said I didn't feel guilty sometimes. Sometimes I feel guilty. Like, I remember maybe a month or two ago, I was researching someone, and she just seemed like such an amazing woman. And I was like, I cannot pretend to be this woman. Like, I cannot do this to her. I just like her as a person so much. But I do feel guilty sometimes, definitely, especially when I lie to people. And then if the organization gets upset, I'm just like, did I really do that to that person? But on the other hand, it's like, can the organization afford to have someone who will make mistakes like that?
And I think that's the big thing, is if you work in cybersecurity, and especially if you find someone in cybersecurity, even if you identify with them and, really look up to them, if they're making a mistake and you can take advantage of it in an engagement, then that is someone, because then you can help them and say, hey, you screwed up, I'm letting you know. But on the other hand, if they're working in cybersecurity for an organization, that's something that the organization should know, that somebody screwed up and it's on a team that should be securing their networks. So it's really hard and it's really difficult, because there are people you don't want to take advantage of, but at the same time, if it's there, it's there.
And on the flip side, I have a personal experience with a person. I was working at a company, and the person got social engineered, and they got one of the young ladies that worked in the finance department to try to transfer $25,000 into an account. And by faking the CEO of the company, saying, I need this transfer done right now. And they used they literally did a kick-ass social engineer. The only thing that stopped it is that person didn't have the ability to transfer more than $5,000 and that set up a flag, which I, as a CISO, was able to pick up on that flag that somebody was trying to transfer money. So I went over, I asked, what happened? Why are you transferring this money? It says, because the CISO said. And I grabbed the email and I walked up to the CEO, and I said, did you tell them that you needed this money? And he said, nope. And that's when we stopped it. So
wow, yeah.
It's well, and see, you talk about that, but I've actually pwned credentials claiming to be a CIO. Meanwhile, the CIO was one of the credentials I pwned. when she knew I was doing the engagement, I sent the email saying I was her, and she still went to the link and typed in the information. You're a CIO. As a CIO, can you please read who this email is coming from and not give me your credentials? That'd be great. Because if you're getting an email from yourself saying you need to go do something, did you really send that email?
Come on. Have you ever seen the meme of the people saying, "Hey, please enter your password here so we can check your password"?
Oh, those are great.
Believe it or not, I was doing a pen test, and you guys are going to find this funny. I actually picked up the phone and asked somebody and identified myself as, "Hello, my name is Eric Blardo, and I am the county password inspector. We would like to know what your password is so that we know what strength it is." And I got 9 out of 10 passwords.
Wow.
Wow.
I used a similar approach, and I had called users within the organization, and I said, we're doing an annual password audit, and your password did not meet the requirements. So can you verify what it was?
Nice. I love it. But it's crazy because we talk about this, but at the end of the day, you've got a lot of organizations out there that are making passwords like, hey, you have to put in everything, right? 18 characters long, this, that, and the third, which is great. Length beats complexity, as we all know. The longer a password is, regardless of the type of characters, it makes it that much harder to crack if you're using a password cracker, because the longer it is, the better. But you still have situations where social engineering plays a huge role, because you'll get those ones where it's like, hey, at max, use 10 characters. All right, let me see what's 10 characters. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, so we're looking at initials and an anniversary, or we're looking at initials and a birthday. Like, come on now. Like, you're making my job easy, especially as a social engineer, because you're going to go online, you're going to find whatever information you need, and 9 times out of 10, you don't even need to pose to that person. You just need to see what their you just need to see what their information is, and then you can log in as them, right? So
Yeah.
it's crazy, and I've done a little bit with social engineering, and it's only been here or there, but I know enough that it's just the things people fall for. Now, on a personal level, it matters a lot to me. I've had more independent wrestlers message me in probably the past, I don't know, month or two than anybody of any importance have ever messaged me in my life. And it's all because their Instagram or Facebook or whatever has been taken over by somebody in Turkey, and now they need to get back in. How do you feel about the accounts that pose as a friend already, right? So they basically duplicate an account. So maybe you're friends with this person, somebody clones their profile and then sends you a message as them or a friend request as them, and these people automatically accept it. Is that something that you tend to do, is clone someone's profile and try to get access to their friends or whatever?
It's not something that I've done before. I've just found success with other ways, but it is definitely like a fun idea. I have heard of pen testers targeting people that don't have LinkedIns, and then creating the first LinkedIn for that person, and then targeting people within their organization.
Interesting. So here's a question for you. All right, let me put this. Let's do it this way. There we go. Go ahead, answer that one. Take it, Cori.
What about social engineering and romance? Is that a type of romance scam? No money is involved, just information. Social engineering and romance, you mean like someone catfishing or just pretending to be someone? That is definitely social engineering. I think social engineering by itself is just defined as intentionally manipulating someone. So I think a lot of things can be classified under social engineering.
Yeah, and that's something you see. I got my girlfriend. I think that's something you see a lot, though, is hey, and to be honest, a lot of women see it, and I see it on Twitter, I see it on LinkedIn, I see it on Facebook, where, hey, I'm going to be, I'm rich. I'll pay for everything for you. Just be my girlfriend or whatever. And the sad part is those of us in the field tend to point it out really quickly. And we're like, this is a scam. This is somebody, doing whatever. But there are people that legitimately fall for that type of thing, where they start sending information and sending bank account information and whatever to get this money. And now everything's gone. Now they lose it all.
And let's make sure that we understand that those catfishing, those social engineering for romance scams, the purpose at the end is a financial gain. So the purpose that they do that is to get financial gain from the target. So what are the motivations that you are seeing, Cori, in, as a social engineer out there, looking at what are the motivations that you guys use to penetrate? So get accounts, what are the things that you guys are trying?
And I hate to answer it this way, but it really all just depends on the situation. Because I'm a woman, I usually try to play that up, to my benefit. So I'll base really the response off of whoever I'm talking to. So usually I'll pretend to be technically illiterate. That way I don't have to answer in-depth questions about web portals or anything internal to the organization. Or I've even had people be flirtatious with me on the phone, and I'll just let you be flirtatious. Ultimately, it'll help me get where I need to be.
But that's the name of the game. You've got to play, whoever you're talking to, whoever answers the phone or whoever you're messaging, you play to what they're going to feed into. And that's really what social engineering is. So, as a woman, if you're talking to a man, if they start flirting, of course, why not? If it's going to get me my way, I'll do it.
Yeah, there are.
I always try to flirt with him, so it doesn't work for me.
There are some social engineers who are completely against using being flirtatious as a mechanism. I'm sure you're both familiar with Chris Hadnagy, and I think that him and his organization as a whole have kind of completely banned the idea of being flirtatious, which, it's confusing to me. It's something that I'm a little torn on. I understand his reasoning. He doesn't want a client to walk away from a situation feeling like they were really, really used in a way that most people could be used. But on the other hand, it's what is the point of a pen test but to, give you some sense of adversarial emulation, and no attacker is really going to be held back from using flirtation as a mechanism.
It's sad that I know that person. But here's the thing, and I agree with you, Cori, because you don't want a client to walk away feeling like they were taken advantage of. But at the end of the day, this is what I try to get across anytime, when I was a full-time pen tester and that's all I did. One of the things we would tell clients, because they'd be like, oh, don't pen test our network at this time, or don't do this at this time, or don't do this, or don't hit these machines. Well, you understand that a malicious person is not going to give a damn about your timeline, about your business hours, about what you have going on. So don't you want to see how a malicious person is actually going to think and what they're going to do? Now, the flip side to that is there's a difference between a pen test and a red team. Red team is more on the attacker side of they are truly thinking how a malicious person is going to hit this organization. They're not going to run a multitude of tools and blow up all of your information and set off every alarm under the sun. They're going to try to go under the radar, which is what red teams try to do. But even still, you would want to know as a, if you're paying for a pen test, hey, is an Nmap scan or a Nessa scan going to bring down this box, especially during business hours? So yeah, as a pen, if I'm paying for a pen test, I want you to hit every machine in my network. And if it goes down, I'd rather you do it during business hours because I want IT on staff to bring it back the fuck up. So it always bothered me when companies would be like, hey, don't do this. Yeah. Don't do that. You really think an attacker fucking cares what your business hours are? You think they care? They have any inclination? We've seen them bring down hospitals with ransomware and people have died because of it. The whole moral compass of we're just going to attack the the big organizations and bring down the system is gone. They don't give a damn. Schools, hospitals, they're all fair game at this point. So why any organization would limit themselves to say, only do this, don't flirt, don't do these things, it still blows my mind. If I'm going to pay for a pen test, I want you to use every method under the sun that an attacker would use, because I want to know if I can stop it.
Yeah, I would add to that, like, you and I are kind of optimistic when it comes to thinking that, like, why do organizations get pen tests? Because, they want to see what an adversary would do. When in reality, most of the organizations that I'm working with are probably only getting a pen test to meet regulatory requirements or,
check
exactly.
the box.
Exactly. Regulatory requirements or shareholder requirements. So I have definitely gotten the feeling from companies before that they did not want to be engaging in what they were engaging with, and they did not want any findings to come about.
Well, I had one that I did, and it was, hey, so there's a chance this might bring down our systems. I don't know if we want to do this. And it's like, look, we bring that in as a caveat. We are damn good at what we do. We bring that in as a caveat because if you don't know your own fucking network, I don't know what scanning it is even going to do. I don't know if running, a Nessus scan is going to DDoS your box, because it's happened. Nessus scans have DDoS boxes. That's why half the people out there like space them out and only scan during certain times of the day. And it's funny what Veritas on Twitch said about only deploy ransomware in the mornings. Yeah, because that's when they send it out. Only in the mornings, only in our AM. They're working at midnight while we're working at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure. But, it's one of those things where I look at it and I see this. I'm a consultant. You're a consultant. Eric is a consultant. Like, you see this with clients. Oh, you're a VC, so you've worked for a million different organizations. I don't want to hear it. Don't give me those faces. But you see it where so many organizations just want to check the box. Yeah. I'm lucky enough right now that the clients I have under me really are trying to improve their security. They're trying to do better. They're trying to do the right thing. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I've seen the same thing you have, where it's, hey, can you do this? But only during these hours, only on these machines. And we just want to be able to say we had a pen test on. And we only want to pay $3,000.
I have gotten I want a pen test, but I only want you to use Nessus.
Vulnerability assessment for the win.
And call it a pen test.
Yeah. It blows my mind.
Question, Cori. So you mentioned earlier about the social engineering capture of the flag. Were you part of the Temple SECTF that happened here a couple months ago?
No, I have never been involved in the SECTF. I would love to. I am definitely going to try to audition for DEF CON this year.
Okay, well, the next one, I will get you in touch with Temple, the Care Lab, because they did a wonderful SECTF with a lot of the colleges, and they even had open teams to do SE. So if you want to build a team and enter into them, it was wonderful. So it was a great. It was sponsored by Google, and it was wonderful. So after the show, I'll get you in touch with them.
Awesome. That would be amazing. Thank you.
See, this is what Raices does. We just meet people and...
What's that?
I was going to say, this is what Raices does. We just meet people and we're able to get them in touch with everybody.
Put them together. Community.
So sidebar, before you continue, I just want to point out my shirt, and you can get this on CyberWarriorStudios.com. Links down below. But we are building a community, and there's a lot that you can do from it. And yes, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to this on audio podcast, please check out our YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all those fun things. Motivation Monday, Tech Tuesday, and Security Happy Hour, which you're listening to right now. But going beyond that, I want to talk about something that plays into social engineering, and I feel it plays into a lot of social engineering, which is physical pen testing, because you can do that in several different ways. You can legitimately break in, or you can do things like tailgating or anything like that. So in your physical pen testing experience, what have you found the easiest way to get into an organization?
Tell people that you're a third-party auditor. That is the guaranteed easiest way to get into a building. I have never had it fail. Just come and say, hey, this person, or hey, I'm a third-party vendor with X company. This person hired me to come here and do a physical access control review. And they say, oh, what does that even mean? I say, it means that I'm going to look at all of your physical access controls. And they're like, okay, here's a badge. Go ahead. It always works.
And see, I've seen so many different things, and it's funny. And I love how Veritas says, I'm here to fix TikTok. There's no fixing TikTok. There's no fixing it. You know, you see the movies, and you see like somebody puts on a uniform, like a pizza delivery uniform or something like that. But it works.
A fake mustache.
Maybe not for me.
Yeah. So telling the truth, sometimes, you know, you are an auditor. You're there to look at their physical security controls. So,
oh yeah.
You know.
My favorite response to that too was I had given that pretext, and then I was like, oh, I also need to test your network. So can I have an office that I can plug, you know, have an Ethernet cable at? And they're like, yeah, of course, here you go. So, you know, I'm working in this office on my computer, and someone came up to the office, and I was like, oh God. And they were like, so you're doing a security assessment? And I was like, yes, I am. Nice to meet you. And they were like, the last time that we had a physical security assessment here, they broke in through the stairwell. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. This is not that type of assessment. Don't work.
I'm going to give you a funny one that I did, you know, back when my beard wasn't like this. I was doing a physical penetration for the Air Force, and I went to the PX. No, this is funny. And I bought one of those police kits for the kids, and I bought a badge holder, and I put my ID on one side. And then, do you remember the show called Alf, the Alien?
Of course.
It was an Alf badge, police badge, and I put it on. And I walked up to the flight line, and I walked up, and I was in civilian clothes, and I like flashed the badge, and I said, "You will let this bus come through," and they saluted me and let me through.
It's crazy that stuff works.
Yeah.
Like, you act like you belong, and you're halfway there.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I used to say that about bars. Like, if you act like you belong there, you'll be able to get it served. And it works 90% of the time. So, you know, they don't, if you look suspicious, you're suspicious. But so, all right. So Veritas, it's funny. Veritas put it up. I'd show up as a rip it delivery person. In the Army, you could get away with that. You can show up to any military base as a rip it delivery person. And they're like, for real? All right, here you go. Can I have some, please? Dude, this job is comedy, because the stuff you can get away with as a tester, especially in social engineering and physical pen testing, will blow your mind. Now, I will say there are organizations out there that do it really well. I worked for one of them where you could not just get in by saying, oh, I'm here for this or that. Because they would literally call the person that you said you were there, you know, to support, and they would look at you and be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. They're not allowed in. So there are organizations out there that do it really well, but there are still those organizations that fail. And on that note, do you listen to Jackery Zeider's
Darknet Diaries?
Darknet Diaries.
Yeah.
Did you listen to the one about, I don't think it was Jake Williams. I forget who it was. that was overseas, and he was doing a physical pen test on a bank, but ended up in the wrong bank.
Jason Street.
Jason Street did it. Yes. Did you listen to his story about that?
I've heard it outside of Darknet Diaries. I don't think I've heard the episode, but I'm very familiar with this story.
Yes, I heard the episode on Darknet Diaries, and the fact that he didn't go to jail, it was absolutely mind-boggling. But he ended up essentially securing their network too and getting them a pen test. So it was one of those things where you look at it, it's like, well, all right.
This actually just happened to me, not with the bank, but I was sent off on a physical a few weeks ago, and I flew across the country for it. I go to the building, I break into the building. I'm like, awesome, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. And I see the company signs everywhere. I'm like, okay, where's their office space? And I think I find it because there's more signs to the company there, and all of the rooms are empty. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll start some wireless testing. So I pull up all the SSIDs in the building, and they're like random person's iPhone and cell phone hotspot. It's like, there is nothing related to this company here. So I left, and I, emailed and called my point of contacts. I was like, there is no one in this building for your company. And after 20 minutes, they tell me, oh, we no longer lease space in that building. I was like, what is the legality on this? I just broke into a random company's building. The first time that's ever happened to me. Maybe I shouldn't have said it yet. We haven't told our lawyers, so.
You know what? You'll be all right. I think it's hilarious, though, because that is one of the things you'll run across, especially now. And if you think about it now, you're going to see that a lot more often where it's, they may have paid for it in advance. It could have been a month, 2 months, 3 months ago, and neglect to tell the company that, hey, we don't use this building anymore.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that more and more because of everybody doing work from home and things of that nature. So, these leased spaces are now, no one's in them.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, most companies are downsizing their physical presence, and you're going to have to make sure that in those, initial documents it's exactly where do you want me to go, and is this currently occupied?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to start asking.
I was going to say, Cori, in the future, you might want to email the company prior to your contact. I'm are you still occupying this building?
I'm surprised they didn't put that in the rules of engagement.
Oh, they did. They put the wrong address in the get out of jail free card. And actually, their new location was 15 minutes away. And so when they told me the new location, I just went there and did it without having it in the get out of jail free card. Because I had a flight in 2 hours. So I was like, I'm just going to wing it. If I get in trouble, I go to jail,
But Veritas brings up a good point. Work from home. And he said breaking into houses, work from home. But the fact of the matter is, so I had someone, Sniper Barbie on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And this was a few months ago, maybe even, last year, had put up a long thread of this company that was making her do all these security measures in her own home. And I'm talking the computer couldn't be facing a window. It had a digital lock on it. Basically like you were in a skip for the army in your own house. It was absolutely ridiculous. But if we're all going work from home, truly, what is the security on your home? And what is the security on your computers? Because this goes now beyond, just physical and social engineering. Because now you're dealing with a lot of people are using personal computers because the company doesn't want to pay to issue out a computer. And so everything's in the cloud and VPN and this, that, the third. So now you're dealing with, everything in, somebody's personal device.
Yeah.
How do we combat that, with physical pen testing and social engineering? We can't pen test someone's home. I can't break into their Wi-Fi.
Yeah. There are a lot of questionable lines throughout all types of pen testing and social engineering engagements. A really interesting find that someone on my team had when COVID had just started was that an entire workforce was moved remote. Everyone was working from home besides the skeleton crew. And one employee's had like some homegrown ISP, and they were natting everyone. They were like giving everyone a public IP address. So it caused a lot of problems, as you can imagine, for that company.
I mean, I want a homegrown ISP out of my home. Like, I want my own ISP.
Well, it was like just
me.
I use that word, but it was a very, very small local ISP.
I want one with just me. But the amount of money that would cost, I can't afford. I'm not rich like that. But I do. I really like to consider everything when I'm looking at, cybersecurity and physical and social engineering are such huge parts of it these days, because we do, whether it's a phishing email or an SMS message, or, these days your iPhones and Androids, all you need to do is send a message, and the person doesn't even have to click a link. All they got to do is open it, and now you have the access to the phone. And for anybody who's going to argue me on it, please look it up. iPhone, Android, both have those vulnerabilities if you have not upgraded the OS since it's been patched. And I'm sure someone's going to find another one. So, yes, both of them do.
Patches, yeah. I mean, this is everything.
Like, as soon as you open a message, your phone's owned. So you really got to be cognizant of these things. So, in your opinion, with social engineering and physical pen testing as a career move, do you feel that physical pen testing for you is kind of going to eventually go away, where the vast majority of what you do is now going to be social engineering, because that's the only option you're going to have? Because we are seeing a lot more people that don't want to go back to the office. So what's the point of leasing an office space if there's not going to be people there?
Yeah, I can't completely answer that. That's such like an easy out. But I do think that, like, as a whole, I know this is such a bad thing for me to say, but I feel like sometimes I question, the entire value of a physical pen test organizations. I wonder, is this just as valuable as a walk-through physical risk assessment, right? Are we just guilting people in this method? What is accomplished here that we couldn't accomplish with the walkthrough?
I agree and disagree at the same time, because some of the stuff you get from a physical pen test are finding those weaknesses in social engineering. And like you said, walking in and saying, hey, I'm here for an audit. I'm just going to walk in and I'm allowed to do this. So, because social engineering comes really into play when you're doing physical pen testing, unless you're legitimately breaking into a building. Like if you're picking a lock or something like that, which we need to talk about lock picking, just because I see Mobius on here. So I do want to talk about lock picking a little bit. I want to talk about that, but Makeshift has a question too. Damn it, Makeshift. What's been one of your favorite engagements, and do you have any stories that you can talk on?
Yes, I will say probably in the world of like social engineering, one of my favorite stories and situations for my team was actually from someone else on my team, but they had gained access to an internal email address at this company. So obviously any email that was sent internally would show that it was being sent internally. You wouldn't get those big external banners on top. And so they like sat on it and thought, like, how can I use this to my best advantage? And they drafted up this long email instructing the users that internal IT had discovered malware on their computer, and they needed to pull the logs to analyze them to see, whether it really was malware and where it had come from, etc. And so they then walked them through with screenshots of how to download LSAS and send it to them. And the people actually did it.
Wow. I can't with people. I can't, because and half the time it's the IT people you take advantage of. Like, let's be honest, it's the help desk, it's the server admins, it's the network admins. Those are the ones you take advantage of, because they're going to have the privileged credentials, unless you are going after an organization where everybody has privileged credentials, and that's a whole different can of worms, but still it happens. But I do I wanted to touch on this. AWS is about to give companies a private 5G network. What are your thoughts on penetrating such? Would it be easier or more difficult?
I don't think that I can really answer this question very well. I don't know if I can defer it to either of you.
Eric, what do you say?
I like the way that I forgot who said on, I think Mobius said, once you set these things up, there's got to be a server somewhere. There's got to be a hardware component within your environment. So it becomes as easy or as difficult as finding the actual 5G antenna, 5G server within that private network, and using the skills that we've all learned to penetrate that specific server. So I think what we're going to start seeing is a lot of people using these private networks, and it will become similar to when Wi-Fi started using, when we were started using, APs all over the place. So it's just going to be a different technology.
Yeah, I agree. There's going to be a different way in, but it's still going to be, reachable no matter how you look at it. Somebody's going to be able to reach it or find a way in. And I think with that, it's just one of those things. You're going to find a way around. You're going to find a way in. And there's nothing in technology that can't be broken into. We've seen that with cars, with CCTVs. I mean, the POCs are out there where even if you're air gapped, people have used CCTVs to break into computers. Like, the way they do it is crazy. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it takes time, but it is very possible. So I would not, sell that short. One of the things I do want to call out everybody that's on the stream right now: Mobius, Juan Fernandez, Makeshift, Veritas, the Raven. God, holy crap, man. I got people here I've never seen before. All right, you know what? I'm just going to say, Mobius, thank you for finally joining me live, because I have yet to see you on here. Tish, same as you, and Cori B, Makeshift, and the Raven, I see you all the time. Jermaine Wilson, I see you a lot too. So thank you all for joining. I do love you all. One of the things I want to get into, though, because there was another one here. Where is it?
This one?
No, the one up a little bit.
Okay.
Go up, dude. Where is it? I do like Mobius's point. If it connects to the internet, it's vulnerable. If it has moving parts, it's vulnerable. If it breathes, it's very vulnerable.
Can I quote dual core here and say, connect it to the internet and someone's going to own it?
This is true. This is very true. The only secure computer is the one 6 feet underground in a cement and lead line box that's unplugged and disconnected from everything. Alpha, I'm just now seeing you because I'm not looking at YouTube itself. I love you, brother. I will always love you. And if you have not checked out Infosec Unplugged on Thursdays, you're really missing out. Check out Alpha Cybersecurity on Infosec Unplugged. Look, I call out a lot of people on here. I try to give people their props when it's due. And it is very much due for people like Alpha Cybersecurity, Eric Lardo, with Raices. And we actually just had a conference last Saturday, I think it was, or 2 Saturdays ago, virtual con, and it was amazing. So if you are not following these people, Makeshift, Republic of Hackers, anything like that, please go follow them. Please go watch their videos. Always. Apparently, Alpha Cybersecurity is the John Cena of cybersecurity. You can't see me. I love all you guys. But we want to continue on with the conversation. I know I'm talking a lot, but Cori, with what you do you prefer physical pen testing or social engineering?
I like them both for their own perks. I like physical pen testing in that you kind of get like a bigger thrill out of it. There's a higher adrenaline rush. I love the dancing granny. And you get to travel, which is fun. Traveling to different places, that's always enjoyable. Social engineering, I get to sit at my house, power pose for a few minutes before I do it, work it up. So I enjoy them equally for their different benefits.
Yeah, for sure. Have you done very much regular pen testing, or have you always been more in the social engineering, physical pen testing part?
Yeah, I do them all equally.
Yeah. Okay. And do you like the regular pen testing? Like, do you like breaking into networks, or do you prefer breaking into a company and then breaking into their network while you're already sitting in their building?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's it. That is a weird question for me right now because I'm at a point in my career where like, I mean, on my team, I'm the SME when it comes to like social engineering of all forms. But you know, I got into the business because I like doing technical testing. So I'm at a weird place where like, do I want to keep, you know, being the go-to person for social engineering stuff and then, you know, really doing less technical engagements because of that? I don't know yet, but it is a weird place for me. I'll say that.
So Jermaine has a good question here, Eric. If you want to put it up real quick, did physical pen testing get easier or harder when COVID came into play?
To get easier, harder. Well, physical pen testing was halted as a whole for about a year. So nobody would do a physical pen test, especially because a lot of the places that are required to do an annual physical pen test are hospitals and medical offices. So they do not want people going in there. It really has only just started picking back up again in the last 6 months. And since then, I can't really tell. I know a lot of places are down to skeleton crews. So if an office is down to a skeleton crew, it can be a lot harder to get in.
Yeah, because everybody knows everybody. Another good question. So Tish wants to know where she can find training or learning resources for social engineering. I personally say just research people. That's social engineering, right? Learn how to look up people. But Cori, what do you say on that?
I would say the same thing. I would say a lot of it is, just start trying to analyze conversations that you have in retrospect. Think about like, what you brought to that conversation, what the other person brought to it. But then external resources, there's tons of amazing social engineers out there that make content like Rachel Toback, Chris Hadnagy, Chris Kirsch, Jason Street, obviously. Go through the DEF CON YouTube videos. DEF CON hosts all of their videos up on YouTube. There's tons of great social engineers talking about things that they've done. And then there's also reenactments from the social engineering Capture the Flag. Chris Hadnagy also has 2 books on social engineering, which are very well written.
Mo just put that up. She said Chris Hadnagy's books are great, and there are amazing talks here on YouTube, which is very true. That's and somebody jokingly, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to put it up. Aletha Dennis is awesome. Okay, that's another good one to work up. But somebody put up,
name, so she's going to kill me.
Somebody put up Google your Tinder dates. And whether or not it's joking, it's true. If you there it is, Veritas. So if you were doing dating, especially these days, you want to know who someone is. And it's not like before where you would go out to a bar and just meet somebody or go out to a club. You're still very much meeting a lot of people online, whether through Twitter or something else like that. So look them up. Can a social engineer be social engineered? Cori, have you been taken advantage of yet?
I have, yes.
Oh!
I have fallen for a phish, an internal phish. I was on like my mobile phone, and I guess they were basing the phish off of emails that you had recently got in your inbox. And I was like, oh, they're doing a fire drill or something while I'm in the office tomorrow. Better see more information on that, because I was not thinking. And it said, you bad girl, that was a phish. So yes, I fell for it. And then I checked the X header to see where it came from. And now I send all of those emails back to internal IT.
So it's funny you say that, because I get emails at least once or twice a month. And it's not our organization sending them, because if it was, it would either be me or one other person. Mm-hmm. It is literally somebody creating fake like Yahoo and Google accounts, putting their name in as another member of our organization, and then sending me an email, and I'm sure other people in the org, hey, I need your phone number right now. No, I just no.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. I see it a lot, but I have also come close. I haven't been caught yet being the operative word, because it's bound to happen. Someone's going to be good enough to catch me. I know it's going to happen. I'm not naive. I know it's going to happen, but I have yet to be caught by a fish in any of my email accounts, whether it be work or something like that. And that's just because I'm very paranoid about the emails I get. And so every email I get, 9 times out of 10, I'm checking where it came from. I'm checking the headers, and I'm checking everything else. Stormtrooper number.
Yeah.
But it's something that I think as security, we become complacent. We think we know better. We think, oh, we're going to catch it every time. We're always going to know. So we become very complacent. And IT, sysadmin, networking, they all do. You know, we're not going to be caught by a phishing email. We're not, our passwords are good, or, you know, nobody's going to own us. But they're the first ones to do it. You know, they're a lot of times we're the weakest link.
Yeah.
Because we give away our information. We think we can't be caught. But it's happened.
Yeah, and I will say, like, as I'm sure you're familiar, if you get like a dev's credentials, you basically have keys to the kingdom. You know how many times a dev has posted a token within their Slack or Jira? I mean, they don't care. They do it every day.
Oh, they do. And it's funny because Veritas put up, I've legit had things stop working because I've deleted your CC is expired thinking it was a fish. Yeah. I've seen those. I've actually reported a few of those and been told, no, your credit card's really expired. Oh shit. Let me fix that real quick. Let me look at my credit cards, make sure they're. Oh, you're right. All right, I was wrong.
You can look at the credit card and see that it's not expired. Come on.
I was wrong. Okay. But it's crazy because we do, especially if you're a social engineer or you've been, even if you are not working in it full time, the fact that you understand social engineering and work in this space, you become very paranoid. While at the same time, you have a tendency to become complacent and be like, I'm not going to get, a virus. I know what I'm doing. I know the sites I'm going to. I know the emails I'm getting. I'm not going to open that email. I can't tell you how many countless times I've opened emails knowing full well they weren't real emails, but I just wanted to view, the email and be like, oh, what is this person trying to fish me for?
Don't you have a sandbox?
Anybody who knows. I do, but I don't open it in the sandbox. I open it on my machine. Like, you know what? Bitdefender will catch it. Fuck it. I'm good. But I run VPNs. So, you're going to get the wrong IP anyways. It's okay. But you know what, Raven? We're going to be fighting after this. All right. I know you're Canadian, but I'm still coming after you. I'll go get a passport just to come to Canada. Don't worry.
Okay. Raven, he said it. He said it, not me.
I did. I said it, and I'll still say it. But, Cori, I find a lot of value in what you're saying because there's a lot that we can gain from social engineering and from physical pen testing, whether as an organization or as a person. What advice would you give to the general population about trying to prevent being socially engineered?
I think that kind of a phrase, don't click a link, has been really ingrained in us. But it's a lot more than that and a lot less than that because, we work mostly online. You have to click links. Like, that is a necessity. Let's be real. I think that we should focus more on just like analyzing our person-to-person interactions, analyzing our interactions with things. If something makes you feel emotional, whether it's happy, sad, or anger or urgency, you should probably read through that situation again.
Yeah, I agree. We tend to, and we see it in media, we see it on social media. Everything is an emotional response, right? So if I can get you to exhibit an emotional response, you're going to do 9 times out of 10, you're going to follow through on what I need you to do. And so if you can kind of, put away your emotions as you're going about your workday or going about looking through your emails or your text messages or whatever, and try to analyze things more logically, I think it plays a better value. But we're human, and humans are emotional. And so unless you literally have that cut off from you, which some people do, and biologically they have no emotion. That's just how they were built. But if you have emotion, you can get that emotional response. And that's really what it takes. So, hey, you have $5,000 waiting for you and, you didn't accept it, is going to garner an emotional response from somebody that's flat broke. Like, hold up, I got 5 G's waiting. Hold up, where? I want like $5,000. I didn't know I had that. Like, that's going to trigger for a lot of people.
I do have a cousin in Nigeria, so that was a joke.
we have another Twitch comment. I've been phished once, not from an email, but a Google Drive link in a forum that I was very complacent in. It took me about 15 seconds after I pressed submit with my Gmail creds before I said, wait a minute. Yep, that'll do it.
The username.
That'll do it. I now, I don't click any Google Drive links. I don't click any Google Drive links unless I know the person that sent them. And I mean, actually know, seen them, talk to them, and know they're sending me something in Google Drive for that sole purpose, because you're going to give up a lot of information and lose a lot of access. Saying that, though, we are over the top of the hour. Cori, it's been a great conversation. I'd love to keep connecting with you. Please connect with us on Raices. I know Eric has some people that you get in touch with, especially Professor Anshul from Temple, who can help you, get you connected with the SCCTF. There's a lot of great things that you can get from it. And, please keep us in mind. And I hope to hear more from you and see great things coming from you in terms of physical pen testing, social engineering, and your pen testing journey. Especially, you've only been in social engineering officially for like a year now. So I'm excited to see your growth and see how you excel. Otherwise, look, everybody in the chat, I love you all. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. If you're on Twitch, make sure you're following me. And if you're listening to on podcast, please head over to YouTube and I don't care if you mute the damn video, just watch it. You can see Eric and Dancing Granny. But look, it's been a great evening. This is Security Happy Hour. This is CyberWarriorStudios. I'm CyberWarrior Eric Bilardo, and this is Cori. Please join us next week as we have another amazing guest and amazing topic. And I will see you all next time.
Thank you.